All right, so we are recording, and what I'll do is I will start sharing my screen and we'll have a look at what you needed to do last week. We'll talk about some presentation skills, and then we'll talk about what you need to do this week. Okay. Now, as always, if you have a question, type it into the chat bar on that side of the page. All right. If you go down to the bottom of the page, you'll see the little speech bubble. If you click on that, your chat bar opens. While I am sharing my screen, I can't see the chat bar. If you have a question, type it into the chat bar. When I finish sharing my screen, I'll come back and I'll answer your questions. Alrighty, so let's start sharing. Here we go. Okay, so we'll start here, as always. All right, so in the Schoology main page, last week was this one, okay, week 2, and there was only one instruction page, but it had links to many other activities. So last week, the idea was to introduce presentation skills to you and to introduce the key ideas in the textbook to you. The key ideas are mainly that presentations are a combination of 3 different sets of skills. 3 things you need to think about when you are creating a presentation. You need to think about the physical message, which is how you use your body when you are presenting. You need to think about the visual message, which is what your audience can see on the screen when you are presenting. And you need to think about the story message, which is the structure of your presentation. Okay? So the beginning, the middle, the end, and how you guide your audience through your presentation. We'll look at all of those things in detail, but last week's lesson was really just to get you thinking about those different ideas. So, guys, I'll get you, just if you haven't got your microphone turned off, just turn it off unless you need to ask a question, okay? Anything you do or say will be recorded, okay? And just like last week, it'll be put on the information page. It'll be put here, okay? So this is a recording of last week's lesson. This week's lesson will be recorded and it will be put in the week 3 information page. So the way we started last week, I asked you to go to these websites, okay? They're called answer gardens, and to type in 5 words, okay? 5 words to explain what makes a presentation good. That's this one. And you and one other class did this. And what you've done is you've generated a word cloud. Okay, every time more than one person puts in the same idea, it makes the word bigger. And you start generating a word cloud. And you can see that eye contact, okay, and gestures, smiling, preparation, speaking clearly, using all of those things were considered the things that make a presentation good when you were watching it, okay? There's some other ones there as well. Make it logical. That's part of the story message. Use good examples, okay? That is also part of the story message. Smile, gesture, eye contact, and speaking clearly are all part of the physical message. Using pictures. Let's see what else is there. Clear content. There's a lot of ideas in there. Oh, the power of 3, very good. Don't know who put that in, but yep, power of 3 is an excellent way, an excellent idea when you're making a presentation. Obama was very good at using the power of 3. It simply means you say, you give 3 examples when you talk about something, or you say the same idea 3 times, and it just reinforces it in people's heads. Okay, so there's lots of really good ideas here about what makes a good presentation. And then we did the same thing with what makes a presentation bad. So let's look at that one. And often what you'll see is that it's pretty much just the opposite. Okay, it's just the opposite of what makes it good. But there are also some other things. So, you know, small voice, not being heard, lack of preparation is a really big one. Looking down, which is lack of eye contact, is another good one. It doesn't show confidence. So lacking confidence is one, but looking down and that kind of thing demonstrates to the audience that you're not confident. So even if you're not confident, you can pretend to be confident if you do the right thing. Again, there's a lot of really good ideas in there. And what that means is that you already understand a lot of the things that you need to do or to not do to make a presentation good. Okay, now I wanted to start introducing ideas from the textbook. So to do that, I can't get you to talk about it in class. So the best alternative was to get you to read through the textbook and then take a quiz to try and guide you through the key ideas. And so that's what this quiz was, okay? And you needed to read pages 4, 5, 7, 39, and 57 to be able to answer the questions on the quizzes. So let's go to the quizzes and have a look at how you did. Okay, this was our class page. Now, 36 students completed this, which means that some students didn't. Okay, pardon me. Some of you have done it really well. I think I gave you 2 chances to do this. Some of you weren't quite sure, and some of you haven't actually done it. Okay, if you have, some of you also, such as Yuma and Miyu, you have got 2 accounts. Okay, I want to remove the accounts that you are not using so that it doesn't look like you haven't done it. So if you are watching now and you can see that you've done it, but your name is here saying that you haven't done it, okay, maybe you have 2 accounts. Please, so for example, Yuma, you have 2 accounts. Either go back in and delete the account that you are not using, or tell me which account it is that you are not using and I can delete it. Okay, please just send me a message later and I'll do that. But again, the key idea was to go through those ideas in the textbook, okay, and just guide you through the main ideas by asking you questions about them. And the main ideas are very simple. A presentation is made up of 3 parts. You need to think about how you use your body. That's the physical message. How you construct your slides or whatever it is that the audience can see to help deliver your message. Okay, that's the visual message. And then how you structure your presentation and how you can guide your audience through your presentation, that is the story message. And then we went on and we had a look at, there was an Ed puzzle. We looked at a bad presentation. You had to think about why it was bad. Then you had to discuss that in a forum. And then we had to look at the good presentation. Okay, so the bad presentation, to look at it, you simply click on this and you'll go to, I think it's that one. Oh, I beg your pardon. That's wrong. Sorry, there was just one. That's this week you're doing the bad and the good. So you had to just do the informative speech. And then the reason I chose this one is it's a nice way to begin. Okay, it's a very simple speech, and it's the informative speech is the most basic speech, and it's the speech that, or the speech type that all of you will be using for your first presentations, and that you'll probably use mostly when you are doing a presentation for other classes at university. Okay, it's where you have information and you want to give that information to other people, to your audience. How do you do that the best way? And that's what an informative speech is. All right, so we were looking at the basics of an informative speech. All right, and so there were questions. Now, I'm a little bit worried about this because a lot of students have not done it. Okay, many of you haven't even clicked on this link. Okay, those who have done quite well. It wasn't meant to be difficult. Okay, it was just meant to guide you through some important ideas. If you want to, when you watch the speech, you can turn on what's called closed captions, which are the words that the person says. They are in English, okay, but you can see what they're saying. If you have not done this, go back and do it. You will lose marks for being late, but at least you'll get some marks. If you don't do it, you won't get any marks for this activity. You'll get 0. Okay, the deadline was actually today, 9 o'clock. Okay, that was the deadline for doing this. All right, so that was the Edpuzzle activity. That was a video. There are a number of videos in the textbook or associated with the textbook, and we will be looking at quite a few of them. Okay, so this week also there are there's one video you have to watch, but I've split it into 2 parts. All right, so that was it. It wasn't a very big workload for week 2. Okay, all you had to do was answer 2 questions, write 5 ideas. You had to do the quizzes activity and read 5 pages, but those pages are not very busy, shall we say. All right, there's not a lot of information on those pages. So one was just the index. One was this one. Okay, so there's not a lot of information on the pages that I asked you to look at. And then you had to watch a very short video and answer about 7 or 8 questions, I think it was. So it was not a lot to do for this week. If you haven't done it, you need to be careful, okay? Because the workload for this week and next week will be higher. So let's look at what you have to do for this week. Okay, so week 3. Week 3 is now available, okay? Again, the instructions are in here. And you'll see also there is a forum, which we'll look at in a moment. So this week, the meeting, which we're doing now, we've already reviewed the answer garden, okay? And the key idea from the answer garden is that there are 3 messages, 3 things you need to think about when you are creating a presentation. Physical, visual, story, okay? Those 3 things. There will be, there is a video which has been split into 2 parts, a bad presentation and a good presentation, all right, and a discussion forum. And finally, there will be more information that you need to learn from the textbook and a quiz to check your understanding. Now, there's a lot more material here this week than there was last week. Okay, again, at the end of today's session, I will put a link to everything that we've been talking about. Okay, if you're not sure what I've said, or you missed it, or you came late, you can go back and watch today's lecture here. Okay, so presentation skills. Okay, we've looked at these. We've already talked about that. There are 2 videos. The first video is an example of a bad presentation. Now we're concentrating on the visual message, all right? So the idea is first, watch the bad presentation. Okay, that's this one here. Some of you have done this. Looks like some of you have done this while you're listening to me, but that's okay. What I would like to see next week is that everybody has done this. It's very important. If you don't do this, you're basically not doing the main activity for this week. Okay, so watch the bad example of an effective visual. Okay, just click on it. Same as last week. Okay, these are the questions here. So play it. You can put the words in at the bottom.
Welcome to the visual message.
There you go.
Today, we are focusing on effective visuals. Now, what does effective mean? We'll let you be the judge.
Okay. So as it goes through, you will come. Oh. Is it going to work for me? It's trying hard. Oh, it's locked. You have to watch the whole thing. I made you watch the whole thing, so I can't demonstrate it. But as you get to one of these, okay, there is a question. You have to answer the question. Okay, nearly all of them are multiple choice. Now, the questions have been designed to get you to think about those 3 messages, all right? And then you need to answer 4 questions in here. In the forum, okay? There are 4 questions in the forum. These are based on the activity in the textbook for the effective visual, which is on pages 40 and 41. All right? There are 4 slides in the bad presentation, and there is a problem with each of those slides. So you can click on the slide if you want to make it bigger, okay, to have a look at it. But you need to answer these 3 questions about the slide. What is the main idea of the slide? What is the slide trying to tell you? Okay? Describe the main problem with this slide, or problems, and how would you fix the problem? Now, to answer that, you can just copy these and then click on reply and then paste in your reply, okay? And then answer it. Now, I'm not going to post that because I don't want it to be there, so I'll delete that in a moment. All right, but that's the easiest way to do that. All right, I'll get out of that later. And you need to do that for all 4 slides. What it's trying to get you to do is think about why those slides visually don't work. Okay? All of those slides have a problem. They can all be done a better way. So to help you understand what the problem is, I've asked you that first question. If you can understand what the main idea of the slide is, then you might be able to think of a better way to show the slide. If you can't even understand what the main idea is, then the slide is really bad. Okay, so again, what are the problems? How would you fix it? Okay, so you need to do that. Once you've done that, then you go back and watch the good presentation. Okay, so don't watch the good presentation until after you have thought about what is wrong with those slides. You can, but you won't be learning anything if you do. So come back, click on this link, and that'll take you to the good presentation. And the idea of the good presentation is just to reinforce the ideas that you should be doing when you make your presentations, okay? It's reinforcing body language, but also the visual aspect of the presentation. Okay, so this is the good version. All right, so follow those steps. Watch the bad one, answer the questions on Edpuzzle. Go to the forum, answer the 4 posts by replying to those posts. Don't reply to somebody else's post, reply to my posts, which is the original question. When you've done that, then watch the second presentation, answer the questions, and hopefully that will show you how to, the correct way to put together a visual presentation. Now, the last part of this week's work is reading through pages 42 to 46, okay, in the textbook. As you go through those pages, we'll give examples of how to select the correct visuals. It will also take you through a lot of alternative types of visual slides, all the different types of visual slides. Okay, and the questions again are designed to get you thinking about which slide you should use for which situation. Okay, so go to the quizzes. I'll just click on that. Again, hopefully you're all invalid game code. Oops, I've done something wrong. Okay, we'll have to redo that for you. It looks like the game code isn't working. Okay, so I will fix that up in a few minutes. All right, and I'll put it back in. See if I can find it on mine. I'll just show you what it should look like, which is this one, effective visuals. Okay, and it will look like this. And here we go. Okay, same as always. You've done this a few times now.
K.44-46. Complete the sentence. We use a blank graph to show ranking.
Okay, for this one you have to fill in the blank. Okay, so you got to type in the answer. Okay, and the answer will be somewhere on page 44 to 46. Okay, so we use a what type of graph to show ranking? Type in the answer here. Okay, and then it'll go on to the next one. All right, I'll stop that. Okay, obviously there's a problem with that, so I'm going to go back in and fix that at the end of this. Okay, so there will be don't start this now. Just give me a few minutes after we finish talking to fix the link. All right, so that's it. That's what you need to do for this week. Okay, the goal is to guide you through what's called effective visuals, how to create slides. And the reason that we're starting with that is because your first presentation, we can't practice the physical message because we're not in the classroom, but you can practice visuals. And you're going to do a presentation which I will outline next week. Okay, so I'll tell you what your first project is, your first presentation, and you will be doing it using Flipgrid. So you're going to make the presentation, okay, using PowerPoint, and then you're going to do a screen share and present what you make. But the key purpose of this presentation is to practice the visual message, and that's why we're looking at the visual message today. Next week we'll look at how to present one visual slide, and then the week after that we'll start looking at how to make a presentation. The following week you will do your presentation. Okay, so that's it for today. I will stop sharing the screen. Mute myself. Stop sharing. Okay, now. Okay. I'm just looking to see if there are any Any questions? Okay, there's no questions. One person had a problem, but hopefully they're okay now. So, any questions about what you need to do this week or what you did last week if there was a problem? You can either type it in the chat bar, you can ask it out loud, or you can send me a message later if you want to. All right, now, just 2 things before we finish, okay? First, if you did not do the Ed puzzle last week, and that is about 60% of you, please go and do it now. That should be the first thing you do, okay? It's the week 2 Ed puzzle, Introduction to Presentations. If you have not registered with Ed puzzle, you need to do that first. The instructions for registering with Ed puzzle are in the green folder, okay? You need to register with Ed puzzle, but everybody has registered, otherwise you wouldn't actually be in the class that I showed you. You just need to go and click on the link and do the Ed puzzle. The second thing was, if you have registered twice in any of the online software that we're using, so the example today was Quiz. If you have registered twice, please remove the registration that you are not using, okay? If you have 2 users in the same one, get rid of one because it's just confusing. Okay, that's it. So no questions, then we will stop today's session. I'll stop the recording now.